So now that we've talked about the pose settings, let's talk a little bit about the block settings. So as I've mentioned, the block settings are going to be dependent on what blocks you choose. And now we're not going to go over every single block because this course is we're going to be here forever if we do that. And I just want to tell you the most important ones, okay? And then you can research the rest yourself. We're just going to go over 4 blocks. That's going to be paragraph block, heading block, image, and button. Okay, so let's first start with the paragraph block here. So paragraph block is, of course, one of the most used blocks that you can use in Gutenberg. And I just want to go with you the things that you can do with this block. So the settings are, for starters, the color section here. So we can change the text color here. So I can click on text here. I could give it whatever color I want if I click up here and let's say red. And we can see that the color is going to change to red. I can give it a specific hex code if I want. So I can go up here to this color palette, select a random color. This is a Chrome extension, eyedropper. I highly recommend it. It allows you to see what color of the web page you are. So if I want to see what the color of this button is, I can just click on it there and I can see the color up here. And I can just take it, copy. If I go to the text here, click on this, I can paste the hex code there and it'll change to that color. Here I have the opacity. Okay, I can change from hex to RGB and HSL. These are other color values that you can use. I can copy this as well. I also have some predefined colors based on the theme. But we're gonna keep this, let's say, the color that we just copied, okay, paste, blue, just so we know that there's been changes. We can change the background color. We can change the background color to, let's say, this beige color. There we go. It's a tough on the eyes, but there you go. Let's continue. You also have the ability to change the link color. So for temporary, to show you this, I'm going to change the text to whites and then the background something darker, okay? Like this, this is fine. And now we're gonna give something a link. We're gonna give SEO, go here, highlight. We'll click on this option here to give a link. And then we'll just type in google.com and then we'll enter. Okay, and we see that this is now a link, but the color is white. We can actually change what the color of that link will be. So I can go over here. I can say I want it to be blue. Oh, pardon me. Blue, and now we can see that our link color has changed. And then on hover as well, I can change the color. Let's say when I hover over it, I want it to be red. So it's going to be blue by default. And then when I hover over it, it's going to be red. So you have that option as well. You can click on the triple dots to also see some settings here. You can also reset all the settings by clicking here. Next, we have typography, which allows you to change the size of the text. So I can do extra large to make it larger. And these values on the right are the pixel sizes as well. I can do normal, do large. I can also do a custom size by clicking here. And then I can type in my value that I want. I can change the units from pixels to EMs and REMs. There you go. Okay, that should be it for typography. I can also change things for like the appearance. Oh, I can actually add more tools here, pardon. So let me go ahead and add that. For the appearance, you can see it changes the font weight. So I can make the text extra bold. I can change the line height, the letter spacing. Okay. I can make it with an underline or a strike through. If I want to just strike through that, I can, or strike through the whole text, pardon. I can do letter casing. So if I want everything uppercase, lowercase, or everything, what's this called? Camel case, capitalize. I can also do a drop cap, which makes the first letter very big. Okay. And then I believe that should be it for the typography. I'm gonna reset everything. Reset everything up here as well. So that's typography. Next, we have dimensions, which has to do with the padding. So the padding is essentially the space between the container of the block and the space of the content inside. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll see the padding is represented by the blue squares here, okay? And this actually creates space between elements above and beneath it. So for example, we see now meet the team, the heading meet the team is now further away from the text. I can decrease the padding and we'll see that meet the team is now closer to text because the padding is creating that space. You can do this in the horizontal direction as well as vertical. You can choose specifically where you want to apply the padding. So that's the padding. Lastly, we have the advanced section, which goes beyond of this course because it involves some coding knowledge. So we're not going to cover that. So that's the paragraph block. Next, we'll look at the heading block. Heading block is super similar to the paragraph block, so we're not going to spend too much time on it. But you have the text, background, typography. You have the link here as well to change the link. Typography, this is all the same. Yep, that's all the same. Appearance, letter casing, dimensions. Yeah, it's actually all the same. So we do not need to cover that. Nice. We have the image block here. So let's check out the settings for the image block. Here we can change the styles of how the image looks like. Here we have quite a lot of items we can do. We can change the width of the image. So we can give it an alternative text. You can change the aspect ratio. You can change the scale to contain or to cover. You can change the width, the height, and the resolution. Expand on click, and then the advanced section. So feel free to just explore these options one by one, okay? I really just wanted to highlight you that each block will have its own unique features and settings that you can change. So lastly, we'll take a look at the button block. Here we can change the width of the button, okay? We also have the coloring of the button, so I can fill it, choose an outline, change the color, the typography, and the padding. I can also give it a border radius, so that changes the roundness, the smoothness of the button. Anything else here? No, I think we've seen everything there. Now, there is something I've been ignoring that I'm going to cover right now. We've essentially seen the post tab and the block settings, and that's fine. One thing I want to share with you as well is this pop-up that appears when I select a block. So here I have the paragraph block, and I want to just briefly talk about it. Some of the features that you see in the pop-up have already been shown in the settings. So I wanted to show you the settings first, and then this makes the pop-up a little easier to deal with. So we've seen before a few things like how we can move elements with this or this option. The first item here tells you what block you've selected. And if you click on the block, you can actually transform it into something else. So say I want to transform this to a heading. I can just click on the heading and it will transform it. I'm going to go back to paragraph. Here, I can actually change the alignment of the text. So I can align it to the center, to the right. I can make it bold. Here, if I just select specific text, I can make it bold. I can make it italics, okay? I can give it a link that we've seen before, .com. Then it'll be the link. I also have this drop down that provides other things like footnote, highlight. We'll give it a color to highlight. So for example, let's say yellow. Okay, then I'll highlight the text yellow. Inline code, inline image, keyboard input, language, all of these things, okay? Feel free to check it out in your spare time. Then you have the triple dots here, which are similar settings to what we found in the list view. So you can duplicate a block, copy a block, add a block before it or after, copy the styles, paste the styles, group it, lock it, create a pattern, move it somewhere else, or edit the HTML, or delete it. Similar to the block settings, the pop-up is going to be different depending on which block you've selected. So here we have the heading block. It's actually going to be almost the same, I believe, as the text block. So let's choose image. Okay, so when I choose image here, we have some different items here in the pop-up. Here we have duotone, which if we can mess around with, you can see its effects, what it can do. Oh, that's scary. Let's clear that. Next, we have the alignment here. We can make the image full width, a little bit too big, or just have it none as normal. Here we can add a caption to it. So we have a businesswoman. Okay, we have a link that I can go to when you click on an image. You can crop the image here. You can change the aspect ratio, the rotation, the zoom. We can add text over the image, so it's like an overlay. Okay. It's a cool feature. Then you have the triple dots here. Apologies if this is a little repetitive, but essentially I want to encourage you to go on yourself and go and test out what each block has in store for it. I'm just giving you a brief overview of some popular ones, okay? The next thing I want to show you is the triple dot settings up here, which are the options. Now this is going to change a little bit of the interface. So when I click on top toolbar, what this does is, remember the pop-up that we clicked on? It goes up here and no longer pops up wherever I'm selecting the element, okay? So this could be your preference to it. Okay, so if I could click on image, all the items are up here. This makes it a little bit more clean. I can remove that and have it pop up normally. If I do spotlight mode, this will focus on one item, one block at a time. It depends on which one I've selected. So watch what happens when I select the button. It's just gonna focus on that and everything else kind of blurs away. Remove that. We'll keep the top toolbar there. I like it, keeps it clean. You have full screen mode, which hides the left-hand menu. But I like to have the menu here at all times. If I want more space, I'm gonna just collapse it. And lastly, we have distraction free, which kind of removes everything here, okay? It's until you hover above that it brings back the menus. You have the visual editor with that we see right now. Here we have the code editor, which shows you the code version. This is different from the classic editor. Here we can, okay, let me go back to visual. We have our tools where we can manage our patterns. We already have seen what patterns are. We've created only one, the global social profile. So let me go back. And we also have some keyboard shortcuts, a welcome guide. We can copy all the blocks and paste them in another post if we wish. And then we have the help guide and some preferences. I'm not gonna go over the preferences. You can check these out in your own time, or maybe I will. Basically, you can change which blocks you want to display or not in which sections, okay? You can have a show most used block section. So if I click on that and I exit, basically you have like this most used category and it's gonna bring back your most used blocks here. So you don't have to keep going down to find it. This is quite useful. You could have that there, keep that there. And then you can just go ahead and check out the settings here. You can kind of change the items that appear on the settings, on the panels. And lastly, you can change some appearances to be available by default. I know that was a lot of information, but essentially this is all you need to know about the Gutenberg editor. Play around with it, rewatch the video. Don't worry too much about it because as I've said, we're going to be using Elementor and Elementor is far easier to use in my opinion. So don't worry too much about knowing how to use this in an intricate manner. So I'll see you in the next video where we talk about the pages section.